The last of the legendary superstars has died. A superstar from an era when American movies were so powerful, the whole globe feasted on our celluloid dreams. And her face. Elizabeth Taylor died of heart failure today at 79. And every generation of Americans knew her and followed her turbulent life. The girl with the violet eyes, the woman who broke the rules and the pay barriers for women in film. And in some ways, she created this frenzy of tabloid celebrity we all live amidst still today. But she was also a woman who was never tougher than when looking at her own choices. And here's ABC's Barbara Walters.
I've had a lot of tragedy in my life. I've had the lowest valleys, the highest highs. I've had extreme happiness. I've had addictions. I'm like a living example of what people can go through and survive.
Have you ever thought of what you wanted on your tombstone?
Here lies Elizabeth. She hated being called Liz. But she lived.
And boy, did Elizabeth Taylor live, the last icon and first global superstar. She once told me that she couldn't remember a time when she wasn't famous. Famous for her acting, illnesses, jewelry, friends, marriages, and divorces. Above all, for her stunning beauty. Whether glamorously thin or later unhappily heavy, time never dimmed her legendary violet eyes.
She was born with a double set of lashes. And she was so rapturously beautiful, little girl, that you couldn't believe it, and full of composure.
Every day I pray to God to give me horses.
Pushed by her mother, Elizabeth was a movie star at 12 years old.
How do you do?
Her career spanned 70 years and more than 50 films.
I feel all the time like a cat on a hot tin roof.
Opposite the screen's greatest leading men.
I love you.
She was the first actress to earn $1 million for a movie.
Elizabeth Taylor.
And won 2 Oscars, her last for this searing 1966 performance.
After all, that maybe Georgie boy didn't have the stuff. That maybe he didn't have it in him.
Stop it.
But Elizabeth the actress was often eclipsed by Elizabeth the woman. Married 8 times to 7 men, she married Richard Burton twice, the public and paparazzi consumed her every romance. She said there were 2 great loves in her life, director Mike Todd, who tragically died after 1 year of marriage, and Richard Burton, whom in 1962 she met on the set of Cleopatra.
We both tried very hard to resist. It was just like, boom.
And the rest, as they say, is
history.
Both were married at the time, and their very public affair, condemned by the Vatican, became an international scandal. Unquestionably, their torrid relationship was one of the last century's great romances. Richard Burton was a great actor.
And a hunk.
Throughout the 60s, the Burtons were the most celebrated couple on the planet, superstars before there was such a word. Lovers and friends all showered her with jewelry, a collection considered one of the finest in the world.
Don't get any fingerprints on it.
Look at that. In later years, Taylor successfully transformed herself into a businesswoman selling perfume. But her humanitarian work may be her greatest legacy. Using her fame, she raised millions for AIDS research, bravely standing by actor Rock Hudson, one of its first victims, when others shunned him. To the public, she may have been the last great movie star, but for those who knew her, she was also a loving mother and loyal friend.
There have been so many lessons, life and death lessons, emotional lessons. I don't believe in regrets, and I have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. No one does.
And Barbara Walters is here now. We were saying earlier, we don't think of her as a pioneer, but her sheer fearlessness about her own choices and her life changed things in this country.
Absolutely. By the way, she never wrote her autobiography. All the different clips that people will see, that's her autobiography. She was gutsy and salty and funny. And look at the things we've talked about. Married 8 times. She wanted to get married, she married them. She wanted to divorce them, she divorced them. She championed AIDS when nobody did. did. She stood by people who were rejected. Michael Jackson adored her, Rock Hudson. Everything she did was bigger, maybe not better, but pronounced and different.